Hunting for fourth gear on Mercedes K-Series gearboxes. So if you have a 280 SL, a 280 SE, a 250S, a 250 SE, a 220 SE, a 220S, a 190, a 200, a 6.3, a 600, a 300 SEL or a 300 SEL 2.8, and you have an automatic transmission made prior to 1969, or if you have a 280 SL, 250 SL, 230 SL, all the way through the production run, and you have a car that does not like shifting into fourth gear, have I got a solution for you. Now, Coop on sl113.org had been very generous in sharing this information with me, and because this is such a difficult repair, I'm going to recommend it only to people who have a good working knowledge of how to take apart the back cover of their transmission. But it's still very important that we discuss this, because I don't want you guys, especially people who think that they might have a transmission failure pending, to get taken advantage of. We're going to talk about the transmission governor in the K-Series box and how to repair it. Behold the governor. You remove the back of the transmission, so that means the flange, the speedometer drive pin, the gear for the speedometer drive and shift governor, and then you take this off. It's held in place with a plethora of 10mm bolts, and behind it are a bunch of fluid passageways. Now, there are parts of this that you have to take apart, and there are parts of it that you do not. But this is the secondary pump assembly right here, and it's held together with a bunch of bolts. There is a gasket here that you will need to replace if you take this apart. I've partially disassembled this driver right here, but what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the part of it where there's an issue. So without further ado, I'm going to take this control valve housing off, and it's held in place with these 4 Allen bolts. Now you need to mark, you need to mark the position of the flange and the position of the aluminum housing. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these screws out carefully, and they're going to reveal the pin to you that I'm talking about that's responsible for the problems with these transmissions. This is spring loaded, so it's going to try to jump out. Now there's a fairly simple fix for this. You've got this little piston here, but our main emphasis is this valve. So if you pull that housing off, the end of the governor housing off, and you can't see this slot right here, you have a problem, because what happens is this pin recedes about 3 or 4 millimeters into the housing. It's actually a separate sleeve that's pressed into the middle, and if you can't see this duct, it causes the third gear passage, from what I understand, to not dump its pressure so that the car can shift into fourth. And as you build up engine speed, it eventually does shift, sometimes as late as 4,000 RPM. Now, in this thing, unfortunately, I nicked it a little bit. While it's not the most horrible thing in the world, it is a nick. But what you have to do is you somehow have to grab the shaft, either with a pair of vice grips or some other sophisticated tool, and you have to extract it a little bit. The shaft needs to be sitting outwards 6 millimeters from the face of this flange. And if it does get a little bit nicked, it's okay. Now, if you need to go further in and actually push the thing out, what you've got to do is pull this gear. This gear is held onto the shaft here with a pin It is a tight fit, but you have to drive the pin out. Then you can extract the shaft. There are also 3 snap rings on here that you have to be really careful of not damaging. And they're metal snap rings. They're a 186 part number. Try not to break them, especially when you're putting this thing back together, because they are quite fragile. But once you're done and you put this housing back on, your car should shift into 4th gear normally. If you have more questions about this, or you need more information about your K-Series box, email me. I'll be happy to assist you with this repair for a small contribution. And but you know, not like I'm making money off of this thing. I'm talking about if you need information about your transmission, such as factory service literature, whatever. But as far as this information is concerned, I'm happy to help anybody who needs it, because I promised the person who gave it to me that I would share the information free of charge. So if you need me to elaborate on this, just send me an email. Again, there's no consulting fee or anything. I'm just happy to elaborate and explain how to do this repair. So I wish all of you good luck, and enjoy servicing and repairing your classic Mercedes. Please give us a like, a thumbs up, tap the bell for notifications, leave a comment below if you haven't subscribed yet. We would appreciate your subscription, and in the meantime, enjoy working on your classic Mercedes.